What makes your heart burn? The road to Emmaus. After Jesus died and then rose on Easter, 2 disciples were walking from Jerusalem to a town called Emmaus. They were sad and discouraged that Jesus was arrested and killed in Jerusalem and that his tomb was found empty. As they were walking, a man came up to them and asked them what they were talking about. Spoiler alert, it was Jesus. But the disciples didn't recognize him. Even though Jesus knew exactly what happened, he listened as the 2 disciples explained all they had seen. The disciples said, "We had hoped that he was the one who would make things better for everyone in Israel." They were pretty bummed that Jesus was gone and feeling uncertain about the future. By the time they had walked the 7 miles to Emmaus, it was getting dark. So the disciples asked Jesus to stay with them for the night instead of continuing on his journey. When they sat down to eat dinner and Jesus took the bread, gave thanks, and broke it, just like he did on the night before he was arrested, the disciples suddenly recognized that the man they had been talking to all day was Jesus, and in that very instant, Jesus disappeared. The disciples were shocked out of their sadness and confusion, and they had a sudden realization. They turned to each other and asked, "Were not our hearts burning within us while he talked with us on the road?" They realized that even though Jesus was gone, even though they were sad and disappointed, even though they had come this far in their life and had already left Jerusalem, it was not too late to go back. That all along their walk with Jesus, not just on the road to Emmaus, but before then even, they were worried, they were busy, they were distracted, but God had been speaking to their hearts all that time. And they got up and returned right away to Jerusalem to rejoin the other disciples and set to work doing all that Jesus had been preparing them for and instructing them to do. What do you want to be when you grow up? How many times has someone asked you that? I'm an adult, and honestly, I still don't know how to reply to that question. I think most of the adults you know would have trouble answering that question too. Yet, it's a question that we expect you kids to answer all the time. I think there are some better questions we could be asking you or ourselves. Like, what do you want to do now? What is important to you? What have you done or seen or learned about that makes you feel alive? That is, what makes your heart beat faster, with excitement or worry or anger even? Like the disciples from the story, what sets your heart on fire? We call this feeling passion. You may not know what you're passionate about right now, or maybe you do. Some people may not find the thing they are passionate about for a long time, and that's okay. But I do think that God gives us little hints along the way. Your job as a kid is to listen and look for the clues. But I'm warning you, the world, and maybe even your own parents, are going to make it hard for you. Not on purpose, not because they're mean, but because they weren't taught to pay attention either. Maybe you'll be reading a book, or building the biggest block tower you've ever built, or watching insects, or just sitting there daydreaming. And you'll be so focused on what you're doing, the rest of the world around you will fade away. You'll feel something tingly down to your bones. Your heart will beat harder. But since your adults aren't good at noticing and are busy in their own brains, they might ask you to stop what you're doing and focus on something they want you to focus on instead, something they think is important, like putting your shoes on now or putting down that book and going to bed already. In this way, some kids learn that the thing they love isn't worth focusing on, and their heart beats slow a little and a little more and a little more until they become an adult who doesn't know how to listen to their heart anymore. When I was a little girl, I loved to draw, to create things with my hands. It wasn't my parents that told me to stop listening to my heart, though. I just noticed from school and television that the things I was supposed to want to do with my life were not drawing flowers or trying to capture the colors of sunset on paper all day. I was supposed to want to do the important things, go to a well-known college, get a job with a fancy title or that makes a lot of money, buy a big house. As an adult, my hope for you is that you don't spend your childhood looking around the world, scanning like a robot for the job you should do when you grow up, a job that will make you the most money, make you famous, or make your family the proudest ever. My hope for you is that as you walk along your path, you keep your heart open, paying attention to what makes your heart beat stronger. So, like the disciples on the road to Emmaus, you'll stop obsessing about the shoulds and coulds and supposed tos of your life. You'll stop waiting for someone or something to come along and fix everything. One day, you'll open your eyes and realize what sets your heart on fire, what has made your heart burn all along. You'll realize not so much what you want to do when you grow up, but who God has been preparing you to be since the moment you were born. And, like the disciples who got up in an instant and returned to Jerusalem, once your eyes have been opened, once you feel the fire in your heart, I hope you will not hesitate. You will stand up and set your feet on the path that Jesus prepared for you.
All right, say bye.
Bye.
Can't see you, sis.